So my name is Kevin Griffin. I'm the director of FP&I for, or FP&A for Construction Forms Inc. CFI is a holding company, HIG, and just recently we completed a carve-out of our SAP system with NTT and partnered with Natuvion, moving from a shared SAP system to what is now our own standalone SAP system. So we wanted to kind of talk through what was the great success of that project. So real quick, we'll go through a little CFI overview, talk about the separation, and then I'll hand it over to Kai to talk about the Natuvion contribution. Domestically, 350 employees in the U.S., one business unit in Germany, all industrials, high abrasion resistant, wear steel, steel manufacturing, concrete pumping, mining, pulp and paper. The Tricon business unit that was acquired last July was where I became involved, and that's the business unit that was carved out of the previous private equity ownership. Yep, so same thing, all industrials, mining, aggregates, pulp and paper, concrete pumping, little power generation, heavy industrial, steel equipment manufacturing, generally engineered to order, high mix, low volume type of environment. The SAP system that the Tricon business unit has been running on is an old system. It's a 25-year-old ECC system. It's been carved out 4 to 5 times. It's been carved from another 2 to 3 times. So it's a extremely mature but extremely dated system as far as the configuration and the actual structure of that environment. Again, I won't go through the details of Tricon, but the Tricon acquisition closed in July 2023. We've got 3 U.S.-based manufacturing facilities headquartered in Birmingham, a small plant here in Chicago, and another facility in Elko, Nevada, serving all the hard rock mining out west for the gold mines, copper mines, and hopefully soon to be booming lithium mining out west. Okay, so separation overview. Owned by Madison Industries, purchased by HIG, closed in July last year. TSA is 12 months. Again, shared SAP system under Madison, numerous company codes, international sister companies, Germany, Hungary, Denmark, along with 3 or 4 business units, individual company codes in the States. And so from July to really kick off the decision-making process, we spent 4 months in negotiations, evaluations, trying to identify that preferred partner, which we landed with NTT. NTT has been our hosting partner, our AMS partner under Madison since 2015, I think. So those guys knew our system, knew our processes, knew our business, and so that obviously made great sense for us to choose them for the carve out, and obviously post carve support for the Tricon business unit. What made this project a little complex for us at least was not only just the age of the system and the amount of customization that was in the system, but we also dealt with a lot of other third-party integrated applications that had to be included in the project, not just the SAP system, but transportation management, data analysis, shop timekeeping. We had 4 to 5 other add-ins and integrations that also had to be removed, picked up, and stood back up for this carve-out. Again, the vetting process, our decision matrix considerations were given for cost, the timeline, obviously the technical capabilities, and just that broad product and project management support that we needed. For us at Tricon, all of the SAP administration, developers, programmers, all of our support system from SAP was staying with the previous ownership. So my business unit was basically on an island, and we don't have the sophisticated SAP support system in the business. I've essentially been the default SAP project manager for the Tricon business since 2019, but I'm a finance guy. I'm not an SAP developer. So we needed a partner that could pick up that load for us and make sure that system was configured and the data was migrated. We didn't lose any data. Everything was accurate and functioning as it was previously. And so that for us was much more important than, obviously cost. Timeline is what it is. We had 12 months to get it done. We spent 4 months in negotiation. So in reality, we had 8 months of actual project time to get the system moved over. Yeah, same thing. Madison Industries, seller, construction forms, buyer, HIG, portfolio company. So again, just an overview of the timeline. Our target was 17 weeks. It's a lot of work to do in 17 weeks, especially with not only the SAP systems, but also all the integrations that had to be considered. Our approach was a clone and delete. So they copied the entire existing system with all of the previous ownership company data, not just our data. We cloned the entire system, and then we deleted all the unwanted data out of the new clone system. That ensured that all the configuration, all the master data needed, all the customizations that were in the system came across for us, and then from there, we partnered with Natuvion to handle the deletion of all of the Madison data that we couldn't take with us. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything specifically here. So I'll say one of the problems that we encountered were, just due to our size and scope, we didn't have a team of, functional experts, data experts that we could, internally, use to verify the system. We were using people that were running the business on a day-to-day basis to test the system, run their transactions, make sure that the system was functioning properly. So part of what we contracted with NTT was support with not only just general project management, but also functional development and testing, where they would come into our system, run through sample transactions to make sure that our users couldn't afford to stop work for 2 weeks to make sure that the orders were getting entered correctly, shipments were being processed correctly, et cetera. So NTT and their AMS team, helped out a great deal, running some of those test scripts. Another snapshot into the detailed project plan. Again, you'll see some of the infrastructure section at the top, taking the existing ECC system, copying it over into dev, copying it over into our test environment, and then building the new production environment from the verified, validated clone system. Regarding the deletion and the carve-out itself with Natuvion, we went through 3 mock clone and delete cycles in the spring this year. And I think initially through mocks 1 and 2, general data accuracy targets are for that type of deletion exercise is somewhere in the 70 to 80% range. After mock 1, which is generally just a technical deletion and not necessarily checking for missing or non-existent data, we had already achieved data deletion accuracy of 97+%. We actually weren't able to identify or find any missing data or data that we needed or that we shouldn't have kept after the deletion, right? Data from the previous owners, which in this scenario is, from their perspective, is just as important as making sure that we had what we needed, right? They care about making sure that we didn't take anything that we weren't supposed to take. So again, we achieved substantial level of accuracy in that first mock deletion. I'd say probably well ahead of expectations. And so our experience and lessons learned, that partnership with NTT and Natuvion, provided us with, a process and a project that, primarily let the Tricon business continue to operate and continue to run their business without having to stop and shut the business down and burden our users in my teams with making sure that the system was up and running. The impact and the the strain placed on any of the Tricon business was almost wasn't felt at all for our team, which is great. We're a small team. We don't have a lot of additional resources to throw at a project like this. NTT support from project management, integrated applications, and obviously technical support, testing, user acceptance, etc. From an SAP perspective, made a huge difference for us. Like I mentioned, we left all of our SAP administrators, all of our developers, all of our entire support system with previous ownership, and which again makes it tough for a smaller business like us to continue to run that system without a partner like NTT. Cutover. I'll just say again, in the spring, our goal is no downtime to the business, no downtime to the users, and for us, we were able to basically shut the business down on a Friday evening and begin the clone and delete process with light validation over the weekend. Our system was down, maybe 20 clock hours, less than 12 working hours, and our users were back up on Monday, running with essentially no knowledge that they're using a completely different cloned mocked system than what they left on Friday, which is huge for us. We're not able to afford any days where we can't run production. And again, we've been on this system now almost 7 months, and I've got no identifiable errors, no missing data, financial, material, master data. Reports all were exactly as they were before. All of our general ledger data, which for this system and us dated back to 2020, was all fully intact and verified after the clone and carve, the clone and delete, excuse me. So again, 12 hours of downtime, and 6-7 months later, no missing data, no identified functional gaps for our business, which is a pretty impressive result. So I think that's everything from the business. I'll hand it over to Kai to talk about the real magic, I think, in the Natuvion delete. So,
all right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin, for sharing your insights to the project. I'm going to be giving you a little bit more insight into Natuvion, who we are, and what's our daily business. So at Natuvion, we identify ourselves as digital box movers. That's why we are dressed like this. So we do the heavy lifting when it comes to extracting data out of systems and loading it into target systems. When we do system transformations, then it's, of course, carve-outs, carve-ins, just like as we did with construction forms. We are doing full-fledged S/4HANA transformations. Of course, any kind of system landscape optimization activity you can think of as something that we support. So merge, harmonizations, consolidations, business function unswitch, all that kind of stuff is something that we offer. In addition to that, we also have data privacy solutions ready. So especially when it comes to merchant acquisitions, conducting test migration with depersonalized data can be a game changer, so that you're not disclosing sensitive data to a buyer just by coincidence. If we have a limited downtime window, then we can also support near zero downtime migration. So that means we are shortening the actual downtime which is visible to the business in order to meet this limited downtime window. And we are also doing information lifecycle management implementations and data volume management projects. Below the boxes, there are a couple of logos, like in addition to construction forms, we are, for example, working with Summit, we are working with BMW, with SAP. We are very proud of working for the government as well, for the Department of the Interior. They are using one of our data privacy solutions. And we are working with Energy in Texas, for example. Then there's Aquarian, Conair, and Varsity brands. So just to name a few of our customers in the United States. And you're probably aware or not aware yet that Natuvion is actually part of the entity data family. So in addition to our own offices in North America, South America, Europe, and Asia, including Sydney in Australia, we can utilize all the entity data offices around the globe. And this brings us in a position to even better support projects on a global scale. And we are not only providing technical advisory services, but by utilizing the functional consultancy services of entity data, we can offer a complete project setting from a technical and from a functional perspective. Okay. The core of our service is our own IP. We have a specialized tool, a migration tool, which is from a technical perspective an ETL solution, so it extracts, transforms, and loads data. But in addition to that, it comes with predefined migration content, and it also supports analyzing the source system and verifying the migration result afterwards. So this is a very comprehensive piece of software which helps us in delivering complex projects in very short time. The tool is very versatile. On the top part of the screen, you see some of the typical triggers for initiating a migration project. It could be a carve-out, could be a carve-in, but it could also be some kind of technical change to the system, like change of the fiscal year or implementation of a new charts of accounts. All of these tasks are handled by our migration tool, and we are very open in terms of how we modify the data in the system. So we could do table-wise, which is very powerful, very performant actually, and gives us maximum possibilities to modify data in any direction. But we can also support data loads using a posting engine, for example, or any kind of API access. So this is a very versatile tool. And even if we are very SAP-centric nowadays, the tool also supports non-SAP to SAP and SAP to non-SAP migrations. And this is very relevant, of course, in merger and acquisitions activity, because you cannot only count on that the buyer and the seller are having SAP systems. So this is a very flexible option that you have. On the lower part of the screen, when we think about S/4HANA migrations, and there are different flavors like brownfield and greenfield implementations, and anything between is considered a selective data transition. And our tool supports all of these flavors, including a combination of that kind of flavors. So you could go for a simple brownfield for, let's say, 80% of a system, but for logistics, you want to go selective in order to leave 10 years of history behind. So this is a very nice feature of the tool. When we do this kind of projects, we know that they can be sometimes very challenging. And we wanted to get a better understanding on how customers, how companies are experiencing these challenges. So we went out and did a transformation study. Actually, we did it the third time in a row. And the 2024 edition is just available, and you can download after this event. And we reached out to over 1,200 companies around the globe in different regions. Not our customers, it's important to mention, just companies that are just in a process of doing a transformation or just finished a transformation project. And we found a couple of major findings in this transformation study. So apart from S/4HANA migrations, merger and acquisitions activity is still a driving factor from system migrations. Also, increasing data privacy in systems and landscapes is a driving factor. At the same time, companies are experiencing difficulties in meeting time and money budgets for the projects. So in over 60% of all migration projects, they had an exceed in time and money budgets for more than 20%. So this is significant. And one reason for this is probably that these companies are struggling in keeping a profound understanding of their own system landscape. These landscapes are getting too complex to easily be overlooked. And last but not least, and honestly, I don't think that this is a surprise to any of you, data quality is almost every time an issue. So in order to address this, we use the analyzing functionality of our migration tool to get a better understanding of the current situation in the source system. So the analyzer supports specific analysis for migrations on-premise or towards the cloud, which probably is very appreciated by AWS and other hyperscalers. Then, of course, we got data quality analysis, and we also got specialized functions in order to better prepare for information lifecycle management or data volume management project. Results are available in two different forms, either in an interactive way, so we have dashboards that are presenting the results. And of course, these results can be made persistent in a result presentation. And since we are now talking about merger and acquisitions, of course, it's very relevant to filter these findings from a system, for example, towards company codes and scope. So you can interactively filter the results which are relevant to the company codes. And we got basically 10 areas in a system that we take a closer look at when we conduct this kind of data assessments. The first one is technical details. Of course, we would like to get a good understanding of the current system. Then there are organizational analysis so that we get a better understanding of the organizational structure as it is implemented in the system. Then we got data quality analysis, of course, looking for duplicates and, for example, missing master data or incorrect customizing. We are looking at data volume, of course, because we would like to know how big need this target system to be in order to migrate data into that system. Then we are looking at performance. We don't like surprises. So if there is some kind of bottleneck in a system that we would like before we even start the migration. Then we are looking at mixed documents. It's a little bit tricky because we don't want to disclose sensitive data to a third party. So that's why we are taking a closer look there as well. Then we are looking at the largest tables. Again, we don't like surprises, so we look out for huge tables that need maybe some special treatment during the migration. And we are looking at the list of interfaces. I can tell you we are currently working for a very large car maker. There we see systems with over 500 configured interfaces. So that's quite a lot of work, and you don't want to leave any interface behind. Then, of course, we are looking at custom developments in a system. So when you think about an SAP system, it's not just standard, but there are custom objects in the system, custom tables. And we are looking for these custom objects in a system because it gives us a better understanding on the estimated effort for the migration. A standard system is rather quick, but a highly customized system takes more work. And last but not least, of course, we are looking at a customizing comparison when we are in a merge project, because when we are merging systems together, we need to make sure that there are no conflicts in number ranges and in customizing. So this is another analysis that we have in this tool. This tool is something which you can use when you are in a pre-sales phase with your customers, because it makes working with the customer very easily, discussing the findings and reviewing the findings and discussing potential measures, and coming more easy to decisions how the actual migration concept should look like. The solution is enabled to be white labeled. So our standard colors are green, of course, but we are ready to customize it towards your company color scheme so that you can more easily provide it to your customer either in an interactive way or in, for example, this persistent way like a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF. Yeah, and basically that's it.